live. And I'll mark the time down so we can get you guys those service hours later. And to tell you a little bit about Wonderia, which you'll find out more for yourselves specifically, I'll just give you a quick little tidbit. It's a pretty fanciful little land about the size of a small kingdom. It's kind of hard to follow the natural direction of how the terrain would work, as it almost seems to be a patchwork quilt of different things going on. And one way in particular on how you get there, a lot of the different domains of delight kind of have these little tricks, you know. Sometimes it's a door, it's obvious, you know. Other times it's a thought or a feeling, something that all of a sudden whisks you away to another dimension. Much like our own, but of course with a lot of differences there. And so this is actually how we're all 6 of you going to end up in the same place at the same time with very little questions asked. Isn't that great? Perfect for this game, of course. And so as you will go one by one, and I'll just start with the line of faces I see here on Roll20. So we'll start with Ryden and go down the line. You know, this will be your casual intro of your player. If you want to tell us, you know, who you are, who your player is, you know, what they look like, you know, race, class, level, you know, what kind of gear you might see them carrying, a little bit of backstory. And then the main question here really is, as you were on downtime in between adventures, you found yourself lounging or relaxing or doing whatever you would normally do. So the first question is what would you be doing during your downtime? And the second question comes to be, how are you going to be transported to Wonderia? And it could either be a strong recollection of a childhood memory, it could be a recollection of a childhood food that always stood out to you a lot, or your character, I should say. Or it could even be a childhood lesson on morality, maybe, or something, maybe just a lesson learned or something like that as a youth for your character. And so I can kind of generate those ideas again if you need. So yeah, we'll just start with Ryden. If you'll tell us just who you are, what you've been doing in your downtime, and what was it? You know, was it a food memory, just a regular memory of happiness as a youth, or perhaps a lesson? And if you want to elaborate on that just a little bit, and we'll start with Ryden if you don't mind.
Okay then, I am Ryden, and I am a ranger to Baxi. Well, he's quite a fancy-looking man, and he looks quite flamboyant, wearing a nice white-collared shirt with a warm-looking coat. Well, and what brings him here as well, one day while he was traveling downtown trying to look for any clues on the person he's searching for, he found a little food stall nearby and decided to check it out, and when he did, he found some sort of food that he ate a lot when he grew up in the lands of Schultz, when he was a wee little kitty. And
Aww.
Seeing that he missed the taste of the pimblon fruits from his hometown so much, he decided to buy some and take a bite into it, and as soon as he did, he was whisked along into the lands of Wonderia, along with his pimblon fruit dessert.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. That was an awesome intro. Definitely setting the bar. Yeah, awesome. I couldn't ask for better. Mini crosses. Well, let's fade on into you. What were you doing in your downtime? And it could be a food like Ryden, or it may be a lesson, or just a general happy memory. It's up to you.
Well, my name's Mini Crosses. I'm a human cleric, and in my downtime, I help the church with helping people and stuff like that. And I sat down for a few to recollect on my time in the wild, and next thing you know, I'm somewhere else. Oh, damn! I'm getting a lot of feedback from somebody.
Yeah, my bad. I was trying to look to see if I could do something about that. It's somebody is live on both Roll20 and Discord. If y'all could check.
I think it might be me. I'll fix that.
Oh, no worries. I appreciate y'all from jumping over from Roll20 to Discord as well. And then if you don't mind mini crosses, could you give me just a quick reiteration of that? It doesn't have to be too long or anything if you don't want to. But...
Oh, I'm just a human cleric. Spent most of my time in the wild, but getting back into society, and my downtime I helped the church, and I sat down for a few seconds just to write and just grab the bite real quick while I was gathering thoughts, and next thing you know, I'm transported to the Wonderia. Is that right?
That is right. What would the food be? What's something that really got you as a kid that
I was just some berries that I had, in my bag. Just grabbed them and started eating, just thinking about my time in the wild, and then boom, transported.
Nice. Okay, I think we might still be getting an echo from someone, but okay, awesome. So you might have been more of a forager as a youth and gotten into some berries a few times, and then coming down for just a rest after another day.
Helping.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for that. And let's go to is it Felis?
Yep, Felis.
All right, you got it.
So I am pretty close to retirement age, even though I'm just starting out. My character has been taking care of kids who have grown up and become adventurers themselves. And at this point, I figure, well, let's give it a shot. So I'm going through their rooms, picking up some of the equipment that they no longer need to start my my training as a ranger. I had the training in the background, so I'm just reminiscing about their childhood and comparing it to some of the stuff that I trained when I was young but never used. And so I'm going to give this adventuring life a shot. And reminiscing about childhood for it.
You picking up that old notch sword that you gave to one of the younglings so long ago, but man, how they outgrew that, and they're off just slaying dragons, or who knows now. Perhaps you may even run into a few of your old students on the road.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome, man. I love that backstory. It's very heartwarming. Usually it's full of tragedy. It doesn't mind if they're orphans or not. I'm just joking, but thank you. And how about you, Lily?
Hi, Lily. I'm a level 4 rogue gnome with a arcane trickster. Backstory, tragic, blah 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 blah, and but has grown to be quite resourceful. And I was before I ended up here, I was we'll say looking for some things, and came across a locked door inside of an undisclosed location for my own safety, and next thing I know, I was here.
Very cool. I love that, and I want to follow up on
Holy
you.
shit!
Yeah. I want to follow up on you on that real quick though, with just with saying with Wonderia, you'll find that the loop of time there is a little bit different than the current active world that you're in, and so a very interesting way. Your characters could literally be in different places, possibly even times too, and you're just fortunate enough to all coalesce at the same time into this new domain, and of course we'll touch more upon that later. But just thought that's kind of interesting since you kind of shined a little light towards that. And if you're all wrapped up on, hey, tragedy counts too, it counts.
Oh, abandoned at a young age, raised by an assassin, decided acquiring things better.
And I thought it was funny. You were like, I'm looking for something. I was like, I wonder if it's anything in particular or if it's just gold and stuff.
Well, I like the pretty things.
I saw a locked door. I thought maybe there'd be something behind it. Not sure what yet, but it's always worth a shot.
Someone has something back there that they don't need anymore.
Hey, if it's behind a lock, then it's got to have some value. But,
right?
All right. How about you, Shmeeb? I know you're playing a barbarian, right? From what I hear, you want to tell us about yourself and perhaps something from your childhood that you found yourself on.
I my character's Akon. He's a Goliath barbarian. He used to be a soldier. He's now retired after being the commander of his village's militia for most of his life. He's now an adventurer, and he's always liked the taste of beer and heard he was particularly good in this region, and wanted to see if the rumors were true.
Hey, that harmless little sip here and there as a youth. I mean, nobody saw it anyway.
Yeah, and the rest of the giants, giants can really hold you a drink with almost any other species.
I feel like a Goliath he'd be like Andre the Giant and drinking like 100 beers in a night and then walking home like nothing's wrong.
Yeah, felt that. Yeah, some of the midgets are lightweights. They can only handle 20.
Shoot. I'm like, give me 3. All right, man. Thank you for that. You have found yourself in Wonderia. And last but certainly not least, let's give it up for Bugbear Grug.
Okay, Grug is a bugbear. He was taken from a very young age from his lovely home and family. He was taken as pretty much a slave for slave trade because he's large and burly. He has broken free and escaped slavery and has become a ranger, trying to, in a way, take vengeance on those who have wronged him. So he has favored enemy on both elves and humans. And fun fact, he does not know common. And his memory, he was trying to remember the happiness of home before he was kidnapped. That's how he was brought to Wonderia.
So, and it would totally be viable if you were. It's kind of like this is a spot that you could place like in your character story really at any time you would want. But would you view this as Grug like still being imprisoned and this is like while he's kind of daydreaming then, or this would be like after the fact?
That'd be even better, yeah. That'd be how he states. Nice, thank you.
Oh, no problem. I just think that's really cool too. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. Couldn't ask for better player intros, and it looks like we have a very unique and varied party, which is awesome. I mean, who wants a bunch of variant humans anyways? 1 or 2 is okay, but when the whole party is, it's like, where's the elves, man? Come on. Nothing against variant humans. I don't want to discriminate on the variant humans in particular. My bad.
No problem.
Heyo. I know. You got a special place in my heart already as a gnome because my main guy is a gnome.
Except half-orcs deserve to die.
I like half-orcs, but they don't always have to be fighters. Although mine is. Anyways, moving on. All right, guys. So you have each given me a good intro, and we all know what you were doing beforehand. And so you have arrived into Wonderia. And you find yourself in a little bit of a glade. It's very peaceful. And the first thing you really notice is kind of all around you are these small little figures, about as small as young children. And they seem to be kind of scattered around the place. And when they see you, though, they all start to turn towards you. And in addition to that, off to the side, you see a pool of water and what seems to be these almost miniature dinosaurs, almost the sizes of like a dog or a house cat, and they're all just kind of flopping around and splashing and play with each other, and they're just far enough where you can't really hear them or what language they're using, but you can hear a slight murmur indicating that they're conversing and joking, laughing with each other. And you see some of the children with them too, kind of just like one's riding one, and or else are all just kind of playing together, seeming to be like just having a very good innocent time. And as you kind of soak all of this in, you notice that the grass is brighter green than where you last were, and the sun's shining just a little bit brighter, and you view these children around you still filled with those emotions of childlike wonder and innocence that really brought you here in the first place. And it just almost becomes too much. A woozy feeling starts to overcome you as you find yourself surrounded by the little children. They start to hold hands, and they're gently humming as they stare at you with amazement in their eyes. And as you're looking at them, you get the weirdest feeling. They look oddly familiar. Before you can really think about it, though, you hear a small voice kind of pipe up nearby and see a little winged, it kind of looks like a little boy himself. However, he has little pixie wings kind of popping out of the back of his explorer clothes. Other than that, he's just a diminutive figure with kind of darker, tannish brown skin. And he comes up and introduces himself. Oh, well, hello. My name is Juan. I am the guide of this domain.
Hello, Juan. What domain is this?
Oh, well, I do see how it can be a bit confusing being called like this, but you are in Wonderia. This is a domain in the Feywild.
Called? So what do you mean exactly by that?
What was the first thing you said? I'm sorry.
So you said called. What exactly do you mean by called?
Oh, well, as you can see, you've all been summoned here. Frankly, it wasn't me. It's just my job here to meet travelers and make sure they don't get lost. But I believe it's the Wonder Fae here. And as you look down, you see one in particular. And again, it just looks very oddly familiar as it like reaches up to kind of clutch your hand, or if it can't get your hand, kind of snuggles up close to your leg. And that kind of, you notice each one of you, this is happening. And as he says that too, they kind of nod, like they're, and you can speak with them in particular if you like, or you can keep talking with Juan. But he says, yeah, I think they called you here. It seems like they might be a little afraid of the rumors about the child-eating monster.
I chuckle.
Well, yeah, okay, that's a good reason to call us. I don't know about the rest of you, but yeah, let's take care of this child-eating monster problem.
And so Felice, you see, like, with your old wizened face, like, oh my gosh, it seems like so many moons ago, but this little child, it just really does remind you of yourself in a way, as he kind of tugs on your pant leg and he says, yeah, on each full moon at midnight, the rumor goes that several of us Wonder Fae, we get a little calling to go to the cave on the mountain, the Forbidden Mountain, and they're never heard from again. And we all got the call today. We're really scared.
Why is this call so dangerous?
At this, Juan kind of pipes up again. He says, well, they always seem to be very worried about this stuff, and it happens every day, and every day more of you little fellas show up, and then some of you disappear, and some of you stay. It's... I'm not really 100%. I can never make it up to the Forbidden Mountain myself, because I'm too busy looking out for travelers like yourselves, but I think that's probably why they summoned you guys here. And I'll be honest, it seems like that might be the only way folks seem to get home from this place too, is by kind of going with their Wonder Fae up to the mountain and maybe slaying the creature of the mountain. I don't know. I mean, sounds pretty scary to me.
You want us to go up there?
Oh well, boy. I mean, I sure would appreciate it. If there was something I could do for you, I would. I might be able to give you a little bit of a blessing if you want, but it won't last too long. But maybe it'll help you get to the top of the mountain.
We'll gladly receive your blessing.
Yes, we will.
Nice. I'll take a blessing.
And so as he kind of like readies himself, you see each one of your they're called Wonderfey, if you didn't hear me there, and they each kind of look up to each respective character, and they're kind of worried, fearsome demeanors turn to be a little more joyful and lighthearted. And as you peer down into their innocent eyes, you see them really as just children who have never known anything but happiness. And with that, Juan Bolo kind of comes up and he's like, well, it's not much, but I hope it helps. And he kind of like sprinkles some Tinkerbell magic pixie dust in the air. And as it falls over every character, this isn't permanent, but for the adventure, you can gain proficiency in either a skill or a tool of your choice. But I have to say it one more time. This is not permanent for your character. It's just for this adventure. So keep that in mind. But yeah, whatever you got, you could even type it in the chat if y'all want to post what you select for yourself. And it's and as he does this, he says, this is a great tool to kind of explore a different nature about yourself. And if you figure out something you didn't know before, I mean, maybe you might make some changes. And with that, he's like, you get the sense that he's ready to dismiss you guys, and he kind of turns to you and he says, well, again, thank you so much. And the Wonderfey, they'll be right with you. Of course, every step of the way, that they can get you to the Forbidden Mountain. But, when I came here, I did some soul searching myself, and, I decided that I wanted to be a comedian. It's not really something that pixies do a lot, but I've been really trying out some new jokes, and hey, I gotta ask you guys, why are pigsties magical places? Because they're full of pixie dust. And he kind of like sprays a little bit more of his blast on you, this stuff. And as he does, you hear him kind of laughing. Now, tell me if you want. I would love to hear a joke from one of you. What do you got? And yeah, feel free if anybody wants to pitch in a nice playful joke. PG-13, I would say.
Well, the dad has to give it a dad joke, so we'll say, why do seagulls fly over the sea?
Why?
Because if they flew over the bay, they'd be bagels.
Nice.
Dad 101.
Oh, that's
Anyone could top that? I'm not sure.
Oh, bagel. What am I doing here? And who are you? I thought I was eating my dessert somehow. What is going on exactly?
You look down and you see this almost like resembles the little kitten that you were just thinking about earlier, enjoying that food. And he kind of like looks up at you with the biggest round eyes, and he's like, "Sir, will you help me? I gotta get to the Forbidden Mountain, but I'm really scared."
Well, of course. That being said, do you want to eat the rest of this dessert? Seems like you've been eyeing it for quite a while.
Oh man, I haven't had one of those, and his eyes just kind of mist over. And then he holds his hands out, and it almost, not greedily, but you know how kids are, he almost snatches it up before you can even really hand it to him, and starts to gobble it up.
What a good boy. Well, anyways.
You hear like a purring coming from down by your knees.
Well, what a good kid. It almost reminds me of my childhood back then.
And so you gotta hear Juan chuckling some more, and he's like, ha ha ha. Well, my, it's been a good time talking to you. Gotta say, not every adventurers that come through here are as funny either. Y'all have any more jokes for me? Oh, okay. Well, if you think of any,
A pretty long one.
oh, I mean, as long as it's reasonable, yeah, I'm sure we'd be like, we want to hear it.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to divulge to preschool humor, but bear with me.
Okay.
All right, man, never had a job in his life. He's a millionaire. The IRS must know how he got all this money. His parents sure tell didn't have any. So they call him. So can you come to my office tomorrow? Talk about your income. And the guy's like, sure. So can I bring my lawyer? And the guy's like, sure, you can bring your lawyer. So they go in. And that IRS guy asks, how do you make your money? The guy says, I make bets. Like, what kind of bets? And the man says, I'll bet you I can lick my eye. And it's like, that's impossible. Alright, I'll bet you $10,000. The guy says, sure, I'll take that bet. Pops out his glass eye, licks it, and pops it back in. The guy's like, no, I just lost $10,000. And the guy's like, you know what? I don't want your money. Alright? How about I bet you $15,000 I can't bite my nose. I was like, that's impossible, you can't do that. Man takes out his dentures, bites his nose, puts it back in. Now the guy's down $15,000. He's freaking out. The man says, I don't want your money. You know what? I'll bet you I can piss over your head into that trash bin behind you and not have a single drop go anywhere else. And the guy's like, I'll take your bet on that. So the man starts peeing. He's not peeing into a bucket. No. He's peeing everywhere, all over the filing cabinets, and the tax man, and the lawyers in the corner. And then the guy's like, yes, this won $20,000. And he looks over to the lawyer, who's looking very dejected, and asks, why are you so sad? He bet me, and the lawyer says, he bet me $100,000 that he could piss on you, and you'd be happy about it.
That was the journey.
It was.
So you notice the Wonderia are kind of like, what's the IRS? But Juan over here, he's not quite as young as his boyish looks might portray, and he's like, what? Oh, and you see him kind of adding it up, and he's like, oh my goodness. And then he starts to take out like a little tiny notebook, and he's kind of writing in some stuff, and he's like, this is gonna go great with the boys. And he kind of ushers you guys on, and whenever you're ready to start traveling to the Forbidden Mountain, each of your Wonder Fae are starting to look a little more uneasy as they're kind of like pulling on your clothes a little, and they're like, it's gonna get dark, we gotta go soon.
All right, let's head out.
Okay, and this is where it gets kind of interesting as you go. You kind of leave the playful, happy dinosaurs behind, and you still spot some here and there, but the terrain itself remains very inconsistent. One moment you're in the jungle, then the next you see a large ocean swelling next to you, and then before you see it, you're in a tundra, and it just continues to baffle you. Traveling through Wonderia, you see more of the dinosaurs, and you even start to see these little playful penguins sliding down in more Arctic areas and splashing in the water, and other sorts of little cuddly creatures. And as you go, you'll spot other little Wonder Fae that resemble all different kinds of folk, but just as their childlike selves, and they'll just living the good life, playing with animals, eating some berries, and just singing and playing. And it takes a little time, but you arrive at a very inconspicuous giant talking mushroom, and the Wonder Fae seem to ready themselves in a little circle, and then they begin to sing. The giant mushroom kind of opens up two big eyes, and he's like, hmm? And you hear the singing, shortcut time is now, shortcut time is here, shortcuts are a magical thing, so please stay near. And then they just start to look at you, each one of you, and hold out their hands, beckoning you to join them. And the mushroom says, whoa, shortcut, nice.
I go with them.
I shall as well.
So does Minnie.
Sure.
Might as well follow along.
And Lily, as you say that, this little gnome, and she just looks so precious as she tugs on you, and she's like, please join us. And she grasps one of your hands as you feel a different one kind of over to the other side do the same. And you form a little ring, as from person to Wonderfay to person. And you feel a little bit silly even at first. But you kind of start to dance around and sing with them. And along the way, like, the heightened senses of the Feywild just really pull at you. And you, like, the feeling of, like, what am I doing, just slowly starts to dissipate until where you find your own self just laughing out loud and this true exuberance in your chest as each of you find yourself faced with the Wonderfay, and they kind of whisper to you, and you kind of lose track of when the singing and the dancing stopped and when this conversation happened. But each of one of them kind of says, I need you to offer a moment and help us, and we can take a shortcut. And during this kind of moment of euphoria, we'll go the opposite way from our intros. So we'll start with Grug. If you will roll me a D8 real quick, please.
Okay. 7.
Okay, so you hear the mushroom just kind of like like distortedly in the background as a little furry. And he's a Wonderfay, but he looks very shy as he kind of sidles up with you as you're doing this ritual, and he asks you, he's like, would you dance with me? And he holds his hands out to you.
I will confusingly accept that I do not know what's really going on, but sure, buddy, sure.
And so as you hold his hands, you feel the same sentiment really coming from him of just like confusion, but also just pure innocence as he starts to skip in a circle with you, and you go round and around and around for you can't even tell how long, again with that mellow mushroom just and then the land starts to fold in on you. And with that, not Shmeeb, but instead Akon, could you roll me a D8?
How do I roll on them with each one on the dice?
Slash roll then D8.
Yep.
We rolling?
All right. Okay.
What are we rolling?
We're just gonna go one by one real quick. So, for Akon, for the D8, you see a little Wonderfay that's been next to you the whole time, and he's kind of got like a little sash, but his bare chest is kind of out, and he ends up being like the buffest little kid you've ever seen. As he kind of like points to his mouth, and he's like, "What's your favorite food?"
I tell him, beer cubes.
He kind of looks like he was hoping you would say that, but didn't expect it, and he like lights up, and he's like, "Whoa! I didn't know anyone else would do that." And as you guys start to laugh together, the land starts to fold on you. And then Lily, if you'll roll me a D8. Okay, she got the 5. So
Yeah,
again,
I got the 5.
the same cute little figure kind of comes up to you, and you have to bend down real low to hear as she whispers in your ear, and you hear just the smallest of voice. Can you sing or hum me your favorite childhood song? And if you don't really want to hum or sing it, you could just tell us what that song. Tell us, a song that you liked as a kid or something, or you can just give us a little sing of it or hum it or something. It's up to you.
I'll hum "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star."
And she starts to hum it with you. And the humming kind of gets like louder and louder and louder to where you like kind of draw back and find yourself in a different place entirely. And that will go to Felice, if you'll roll me a d8. Okay.
I was gonna win.
I'll do the next one up so we can keep some variety in it, because there's enough options where we don't have to do the same one. So it's just such an wizened, I don't know, I can't talk, but it's such a wizened old man. You look down at this just very, very foreign almost being, as then again, gosh, it really is not, because it's so unpersonal, but it's just been so long, and then a part of you really does feel like it's just yesterday, as the kind of rambunctious lad, he kind of is just all around you with such energy that you forgot you used to even have, and he kind of says, "Hey, Mister, what's your favorite game? I want to know."
And I think back to when I was a little kid, and I remember that I used to enjoy hide and seek. It was something that we always used to play, and it turned out to be useful, as part of my training. But it's what brought me to what I was interested in.
And so
it all started with that hide and seek.
You explain that to him, and as you you look down and realize you don't see him for a second, as then he just pops out from underneath your legs, and he's like this?
I pat him on the head. It's like, yeah, you've got the definite, markings of a ranger yourself.
And then he's kind of like, look, now I'm over here. And then he kind of pops behind you again. And as you turn to look at him very quickly, you realize it almost looks like the ground is coming at you as if you're falling. But then instead of colliding with the ground, you just all of a sudden find yourself standing again elsewhere. And Mini Crosses, how about you? You want to roll me a d8? Okay. So Mini Crosses, this little boy kind of comes up to you, and he looks very solemn, but also very just very nice, And he kind of has like a little pendant around his neck that you recognize as your god. And if you want to share that with us, you sure can if you want to. And he kind of like holds it and looks up to you, and he asks you. Could you tell me who was your hero that you looked up to? I'm trying to find my own.
I looked up to the deity of my church. It was La Meter.
And he kind of like looks down at his own little pendant, and he's like, maybe I should take this a little more serious. You're right. And you see like a bit of resolve kind of form in him where before, he was still just very young and didn't know. You find yourself even kind of looking at your own focus, whatever that might be, whether that's some totem of your deity of such. And as you kind of think back to when you first decided that was the right path for you to take. And as you do, you kind of realize that all of a sudden you're still with all the same people, but your surroundings have completely shifted. And so now, starting at the top, technically, last but not least, Raiden, if you'll give me a d8.
You got a 4?
Okay. And I guess we already... Okay, I'll do this one too. So you feel this. You feel this. I don't know if that'll help. I think that might be Lily.
Whoa.
Hold on. My bad, yo. Can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right, I just changed my settings. I was getting some reverb there. Okay, so Raiden, you feel like a little fuzzy warmth as you realize the little Raiden is kind of just rubbing up against you and purring, and you feel like a lot of love emanating from him. And without him even really asking you, you kind of feel the urge to share with him a time that really made you feel loved, as when you were just a little kitten.
Well, long, long ago, when I was a wee little kitty, I was really, really sick, you know? I was quite a weak kid long, long ago, and I'd get sick quite a lot, and my mom, she would make me these sweet little apples, like, you know, like those bunny apples. My mom was really good cook. Yeah. I wish I could go back to those moments sometimes, you know? But the future is much more exciting. And that's why I'm here right now.
Ain't nothing like times with Mama Kitty and the siblings. And real quick, if I went on my settings on Roll20 and made it where I wasn't going to receive anything, I don't know if that would help everybody or just me, but if everybody could just double check that they're not double sending their audio through Roll20 and Discord, that's probably what it is.
I did the same.
You get in Roll20?
Yeah, I went to settings and it's like others can see or I can hear, see, and I just have none on both of those.
Yeah, I think if you put your you can do it from your icon in the bottom left.
Oh.
You have to put it to anything above names only in the audio video setting, video display, and then you can you just put your mouse over it, and then it should give you the option.
Want to do it one more time?
All right. So go to audio video setting,
Yes.
video display.
Yes.
All right. Now put your player video / avatar side. The first setting to anything above name only, and then put your mouse over your icon and click the microphone icon.
Oh yeah, mine's already. Mine's already off. I didn't. So yay. Hold on. Let's see.
As soon as Lily, who the problem is. I can see the.
Yeah, mine's been off too. I have both mine for none. So whatever.
Yeah, I have mine for none as well on both.
If you mute yourself or turn on push to talk in Discord, it should also eliminate the problem.
Okay, so just to check real quick before we move on, is anybody suffering any issues? I know mini crosses you said you were.
Not on my end.
Okay.
Got it. I was just getting really echoes like crazy.
Yeah, I was there too for a minute. But okay, as long as we got it all sorted, then we'll keep going. And sorry to interrupt kind of halfway on your part there, Raiden. But as you kind of reminisce about your mother's love and how she would make you just the right things, that would really fill your belly and just make you so happy. You feel that loud, I say feel, but hear too, I suppose, that loud purring at your heels again. And you kind of get the urge to just kneel down and give little Raiden a quick hug. And as you do, you close your eyes, and when you open them back up, you found that you're in a new place. And that kind of makes the lot of you as you realize everything around you is just a little bit different. You could tell that it's not the same trees and the same ground underneath your feet. And before, you were kind of loosely following a path towards this looming mountain off in the distance. And the Wonder Fae will whisper to you, there it is, the Forbidden Mountain. And you realize that you're actually now much, much closer to it. And in fact, the gate, the mouth of it is just in front of you. And strangely enough, though, you smell fresh baked cookies kind of wafting in the air from the cave. And you see it standing there, or as it were, looking like the large gaping mouth of an ogre with blunted teeth. And you hear a slight whisper at your side as each of the Wonder Fae kind of express their own fear of the monster of Wonderia. One of the other Wonder Fae told me about it. They said they knew a Wonder Fae who knew a Wonder Fae who knew a Wonder Fae who got the call and went in there and never came out. And so a silence is broken suddenly by actually a very welcoming voice, but kind of deep as you realize it comes from a being that's probably a bit bigger than you are. And it comes from inside the mountain, and you hear it's almost a matronly voice. Oh my goodness, the food, it's going to get cold. Hurry, inside all of you, it's time to eat. And you look starving, come. And with that, despite what you would think, the Wonder Fae kind of break free from you and start to excitedly shout and look at each other and clap hands together like, hooray, food! And then they begin to kind of vanish out of sight, and you'll see them pop back into sight like a few yards ahead as they just start to make their way towards the cave. And still they're just giggling and laughing and fearlessly running inside the mountain.
Can we try and stop them?
You can.
Can I rush in for food as well?
You sure can too.
Can I try, I don't know, grapple or acrobatics to put myself in front?
Grug is really from protection less than, aggression or anything. You try to grab onto little Grug as fast as you can, and you kind of wrap your arms around him and feel him like struggling underneath your grasp for a second, and he really you can feel his like body kind of trembling, and then you realize it's actually just from his giggling as he's kind of like hey, and then all of a sudden like he just kind of disappears, and as he kind of pops back into view in your arms, like he's a little bit more out of your grasp, and all of a sudden you just feel so drowsy as your eyes start to droop, and just enough for your strength to give as he kind of slips from your grasp and takes off into the cave mouth as you realize that he was kind of putting you to sleep a little bit. And then it wasn't enough though, you kind of snap back to your senses, and as you see Raiden kind of just take off merrily into the cave just alongside little Raiden. They're kind of holding hands and skipping in, going like with their tongues out, ready to eat. Would the rest of you like to run in?
Sure, why not?
Sure.
They were like, what the heck is happening?
As we run in and take out my lance.
Okay, so
Go in. Try and go in a little bit of stealth, carefully.
Yeah, I'm going to pull short sword and dagger and try and sneak in.
nice on the stealth.
Oh, 20. Not bad.
Okay, so a couple of you are charging in, ready to defend with no abandon. Your little you just ran in there to be slaughtered. Who knows? They're the meal. But a couple of you may also just try to stealth in, to assess the situation and do things the right way and that you see them. with that, though, you pass through the opening of the cave entrance, and your reality of the situation is shattered. It's actually just a pleasant little living room. It's pretty large, though, and you see a giant, along with a nearly endless table, where the Wonder Fae are gathering and eating a yellow porridge-like substance out of wooden bowls. The giant actually is a storm giant, and so she sits there with kind of, ashy blue skin, and she's quite beautiful, although really just so large compared to you guys. As you see, her hair is fairly grayed, and you feel an immense power about her, but especially with Felice, you can kind of see that recognition of age, that you also carry in yourself. And so your focus of that, though, is kind of broken by the Wonder Fae, as they're kind of just starting to eat up this yellow porridge-like substance out of bowls. And they're singing between bites, yellow hot cereal, yummy, yummy in my tummy. And the aroma of vanilla and cinnamon kind of lingers in the air as the elderly storm giant kind of comes up with her purple apron, and she has a small bag latched around her wrist. And she says, "It's good to see you again, my little friends. Oh, look how big you've grown." And she turns towards you as she says that. "I've been expecting you. Come, won't you sit and eat?" She gestures towards the large table as chairs and place settings dance into position, ready to serve you.
Ask her giant what's going on here.
"Well, I made this yellow hot cereal for the little Wonder Fae. It's time for them to grow now. But there's some for you too if you'd like it. And I see you may have some questions. Here, come, eat, and I'll fill you in if you want. Ask me anything, and I could probably share a couple things as well."
Excuse me, madam. Sorry.
The other Wonderlings, if that's what they're called, they seem to be quite terrified of coming here.
Oh, these little Wonder Fae, they tend to come up with some rumors, and they get a little bit out of hand. I've heard they call me the monster. Some may see me as such, but I usually don't mean any harm to all. And then she turns to Raiden. "And you, I see a question on your lips. What do you have for me?"
May I have seconds, madam?
"Oh, look, and your belly's getting so round, Raiden. This must really remind you of that Pimbalon dish. I should have known to make some of that too. I knew you would be here today. How ill-thought of me, but here, have some more." And she pours it out to you, and you realize as she gives it to you, she's like, "Now don't eat it all at once, Raiden." You realize she kind of gives you an even extra serving, and with your expertise and picking up clues on things and such, you're able to deduce that this is a greater potion of healing in the form of a nice cinnamony yellow hot cereal that she gives to you. And she says, "Now come, won't you all have some, please?" And I guess let me know who wants to have some.
I'll take some. My character's getting a little hungry.
Many will have some.
I will wait and see how they react. And depending on how they react, I may or may not try some.
I will do the same.
Okay, so it's not a too big of a deal, and I don't blame y'all for thinking like that. But as y'all have some, actually, she kind of smiles to herself as she readies herself to kind of give you some more of an explanation of who she is and what she does here with these creatures. And anybody who eats it gains inspiration.
I'll take one. I will have some too.
And with that, you guys all start to dig in as she says, "Well, now I do understand you may have some questions, but first and foremost, let me explain to you what the Wonder Fae are. As you can see, of course, they're these just wonderful little creatures, but in Wonderia here, time really has no order. Events may occur before, after, or during any other event in the material world. It can be quite baffling, but I hope you all know that you may or may not even ever get to meet each other in the real world. But the way a Wonderfay works is whenever a mortal being is born, their Wonderfay likeness is created here in Wonderfay. And throughout the day, they get to enjoy their time, and most of them will be called by the end of the first day to come here and pass over. Some, like yours, are lucky enough to call their guardian, their real selves, and be able to take something with them as they are reborn into the very first beginnings of your own life. Now, I know that can be a bit odd to understand, since time does work differently in here in Wonderia. But just consider, sharing some wondrous experiences with your Wonderfay, so they might absorb that and move on, potentially altering your own life for the better. I just think on that for me, if you will, and I do have a special request of you with that in mind, but of course, do you have any questions for me?
I will ask in slightly broken common. If I tell my Fae something, will Fae remember?
I would say word for word, detail for detail, perhaps not, but the sentiment of what you're trying to show them will most certainly carry forward. And I see you guys have picked up some new abilities since you've been here by my little representative Juan. I hope he didn't give you too bit of a trick sometime. I can hardly ever get him to focus from telling his jokes. And so, if you have anything else you want to ask me before you go, I would certainly fill you in on anything you like. But like I said, I do have a special request, and I've already mentioned it. It is just helping your Wonderfay as they step through the portal to the real world and are born and shed their fears that they may possess. And I see you over there, Lily, eyeing my bag here, and she kind of starts to undo it from her wrist. This actually is my bag of holding.
What?
Huh?
Really?
Oh, sorry, I was reading the chat. And so, in my bag of holding, I can create a portal that the Wonderfay will step through. And so I ask you to give them guardianship one last time as you journey into my bag here with them and see that they make it through the portal safely. And then that should be it for you here in Wonderia. You will next find yourself back where you once were.
Can I take a look around the bag before I go through the portal?
Of course, sure. And she kind of opens it up to you, and you see some just random stuff, honestly, like equipment and gear and supplies and things, kind of probably what you would keep in your own bag of holding. You see maybe not for you in particular, a stolen one from a wizard perhaps, but there's a spell book, and you see a little stuffed animal and a sword and a shield and a lantern and all kinds of various things in there. But there's certainly room for much, much more, including all of you and the Wonderfay. And yeah, that's what you would see in there.
I will ask if I have to go in the bag.
If you would like to complete this last leg of the journey, this is where I keep the portal. You see I have all these other things in here too. Oh, there it is, right there. It's underneath the lantern. There's the portal.
He will be very wary because He does not like being confined, but he will trust his newfound allies to help if he gets stuck or captured.
And so anybody is fair enough to roll an insight roll if you are feeling doubtful. I certainly wouldn't argue with you on that.
No, but I
He believes whatever she says.
What'd you say, Lily?
I'd like to roll a sleight of hand to see what I can come up with.
Sure.
I'm a thief.
And then I add 4. Oh, wow. Never mind.
I don't see anything.
Okay,
And
so as you guys kind of give her a glance over, I would say that Grug, Mini Crosses, you really you just feel like you could trust her to maybe even take a bullet for her, even to the point of her genuine nature. And then for Felice and Akon even, who can really truly see her for what she's really trying to give off, and you really do honestly just get the same. This is just a very old storm giant woman, who's kind of lived a pretty patronly life and has now settled into Wonderia to take on the responsibility of sending these little spirits on into the actual life. And as she does kind of see you guys assessing her, she says, "I do not blame you for giving me that look. I get it every time. And I'll tell you, I used to be an advisor for the Summer Queen herself and her court. I spent many of what you would call years there, I guess. Many, till this hair has gone gray." And you see like a almost forlorn look in her eye, and then it's kind of replaced with like an exuberance of her own as she settles back down with the Wonder Fae and thinks out loud kind of. She's like, "But this is where I belong. And I know I can just settle here and do what I can do for as long as I can. And if with no further ado, off in the bag you go. Not quite as shady as it sounds."
Ask her if she has any gold laying around, since my character's a little broke.
Actually, I do think I can procure a reward for you guys. As soon as you see the the Wonder Fae through the portal, I will wave you back on to your former
You
life.
really perk up at the word reward.
I know this whole experience is so enriching. It's just that must be the reward in its own. But I know time is money,
Really?
and there will
Really?
be gold. There will be gold.
Now you talking. How much? Let's see. Come on.
I could see. I'd have to do the true math, but if you can see them through, I could probably give you a good 50 or 60 gold each, and if you see to it that none of them are harmed, I might even throw you on a little bonus in addition to that. Now, does that sate your desire there, Lily? Can I count on you?
Fine, I'll do it.
And like you realize as you were kind of in anticipation, your own little Lily, the Wonder Fae, was like kind of had like a very stiff hand on your leg, not in like not against you, but like with you, as she was also like on held breath. And as soon as like the deal's been struck, she kind of is like, and you both turn to each other with kind of like the same like satisfied eyes, and you might let out a little laugh as oh, I should probably tell you her name too. That's pretty rude. But as she ushers you into the bag, the storm giant, she says, "You may call me Abuelita Evelise. These little Wonder Fae certainly think of me as their granny, and it's a fitting title as I could have. And maybe you're like my own grandchildren now. And with that, into the bag you go." No, just kidding. But if you guys are all in agreement to jump into her very safe and unassuming bag of holding.
Sure.
You see pretty much similar items to what I had described before. There's a shield and a sword and a book and all sorts of different little items and kind of equipment and things. But it's all kind of now surrounded by like leathery burlap walls. And as you kind of settle in, you almost get a feeling of weightlessness as you realize that in this area, the gravity has kind of lifted, and things are kind of floating around you somewhat, but mostly stationary where you see them. But you yourself is kind of like yourselves are kind of like lifted slightly off the ground, what you would call a ground, which actually kind of looks more like a big map underneath your feet, as you see the Sword Coast spread out underneath your feet. You're stepping on water deep, one of you. And though as you're kind of soaking in this new like feeling and the surroundings around you, you feel the paralyzing anxiety starting to emanate from your Wonder Fae. You turn towards them each, as you're all kind of at your own little section of the bag, and you realize that with this new experience, it's like a child meeting someone they've never met before, or facing a new fear they didn't, that they just have never been represented yet. And the little you starts to just tremble as you may begin to kind of start to make them feel a little more comforted. You see the strangest thing happen as this almost oily, viscous material starts to materialize around the Wonder Fae, and it's let's see if someone wants to give me like I would say maybe a nature or investigation check.
I'm proficient in nature. I'll do that.
I shall do that as well.
So we'll just do it as a group check.
That is a 14
Okay.
on investigation.
So I'm missing one, right? Or two?
So automatically add the +4.
Okay, so overall success. Lily and Minnie crosses as you kind of gaze on this this coalescing of like tar-like fluid almost. You're not very sure of what this could be, but the rest of you instantly recognize this as a series of boggles starting to form from the negative emotions emanating from the Wonder Fae. And if you give me one quick sec, I will throw them guys out for you. As you see them just all start to pop up all around you. There's one next to each Wonder Fae, and you see an additional couple off in their own little square there. And so first off, let's roll initiative. Boom, everyone was ready as heck on that. Or no, that was from before, my bad. Sorry, let me get rid of that. Boop. I was like, dang, y'all filled that in quick. Sorry about that.
Guys.
Well, rating you got a 23 at 4. Oh, you have to select your token, by the way, for it to show up. I'm thin. Biden.
Even worse.
Okay, so everybody on there? I'm missing two people, I think, right?
Yeah, Raiden and...
No, Raiden's on there.
Raiden's
Raiden, Gokon. We got...
Me.
My apologies.
Where you at, Lily, on here? Let me see you. There you are. Let me add you a turn. What did you roll, Lily?
10. Looks like.
Was it 4?
Well, I have advantage on initiative.
Okay, cool, nice. All right, 10 it is. And then was there one more I'm missing or no? Mini crosses. What did mini crosses get? Looks like mini crosses got an 11. Thank you, sir. I see that. Okay, and that should be everybody. Let me know if I miss anybody. And we got it in order. So we're gonna start with Grug. And first,
I am going to come over here. I'd say it's pretty obvious that they're evil, that the enemy things are evil.
yeah, they do. And just so real quick before you go, I did want to roll initiative first, and you certainly will act first. But just to kind of intro for you, as the beings start to kind of appear around you, you hear like dissonant whispers kind of reverberating throughout the bag. And it's almost like they're in your ears, and the Wonder Phase start to tremble as they hear them as well. It's things such as, "You'll be a failure," or "You're never going to succeed," and you have to try to hide who you truly are. You know, certain threats and things that, you know, would just really play on your psyche, especially as a youth. And you feel it starting to press down on the Wonder Phase. They huddle close to you and start to shiver, and then you feel like they're becoming overcome. As the small oily creatures have appeared, they fill the Wonder Fey with doubt, and you feel like you should act pretty fast. And with that, you get a sense that you could try to comfort your Wonder Fey with an action, but that would be your action, so it's kind of up to you to decide what way to approach the situation. And combat is definitely not bad. It probably would end up happening, you know. So if you want to use your action, don't feel bad not to comfort your Wonder Fey. But I feel like I should mention that. And then with that, go ahead, Grug. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No worries. Since there was an ally next to me, they would not be surprised to see me, correct? Which is sad. So I would not get surprise attack off, correct?
No, this is just fair initiative as it is.
I kind of figured. I'm sorry. I never dealt with that before. My apologies. I will just run up, and I will do a dagger. I meant to use a longbow and tear it super close for 6 piercing damage.
Okay.
And I am done.
Okay, so as you sink your blade up to the hilt in this little figure, you feel like its oily skin kind of almost lapping against the blade in a strange way as you kind of suck it back through its skin. And yeah, it does hurt it though, and you can tell like with the damage it does, it winces pretty hard. Where, you know, it's not the most I'm trying to think of the right word, but full of vigor, I guess. You know, seems to shriek out. And with that, we'll go to Felix.
Okay, well, I'm not comforting him, but I'm going to suggest to him that he take his hide and seek skills he obviously has. But I guess I probably shoot the longbow and then move in. And miss horribly, but still move in and start drawing the sword afterwards. And that's it.
Okay, so as you say, the arrow kind of just goes by the little oily creature, and it like looks up at you with this distorted mouth, kind of like sneering at you, almost kind of jeering at you, but also a little scathingly as well. as it turns back to your Wonder Fay with a hungry look in its eyes. And with that, it's going to be their turn. And so the Boggle will... Let me make sure... So everybody roll me a wisdom check for your Wonder Fay. I'll just let y'all do that for each Wonder Fay. And if you want to know, you'll have a +2.
I don't think I have a Wonder Fay right next to me.
Yeah, you do. It's little icon thin.
No, I'm way up at top, on the top, way above you guys, way north.
Yeah, right there.
Boop. You're over to the right of the bag, my man. Okay, and so like I said, everybody have a +2 to this. So if that's already applied, or make the adjustment, or however it goes, and then I'm just gonna roll once.
14.
That's 21 for me then.
Okay, so actually, what I rolled ended up being like a 0. So, yeah. So, as each of you are still fairly close to your Wonder Fay, and again, you kind of feel almost like the weightlessness of how there's not really much gravity around you. You kind of feel yourself almost being slightly lifted in the air. But you're close enough to your Wonder Fay as each Boggle kind of like... I almost imagine it as one of like the Kingdom Hearts creatures, you know, but like one of the Heartless, as it just does kind of like sludge towards your Wonder Fay, and a little face pops out and it just jeers, ah! And the face comes out and screams at them, and each one kind of receives like a pretty unique scream of like, you know, trying to challenge their self-worth. But you're there to kind of fend them off and put your hand on the shoulder of yourself almost, and reassure them that what they're saying isn't true, you know, and their intimidation will not work. So we're going to go to, we have two, I have two that aren't attached to Wonder Fay. So this one has just enough movement to come up to you. And then this one's got enough movement to come up to Grug. Since you guys had attacked already at each one, they're going to view you as threats. They're not going to double up on the Wonder Fay. And so each of you sees a Boggle kind of, as you're fending off your, you know, individual self, another creature just like comes out of nowhere and tries to grab onto you. As you realize its skin is just very, very sticky. And so it's going to, both of them are just going to try to grapple. So you can do acrobatics or athletics, and I am going to do that myself. And we'll do it first. We'll go with, yeah, you both can roll, but first I'll go for Felix. And I'm rolling at advantage because its skin is very, very icky. And oh my goodness, this is one of those moments where you have a 1 and a 20 on the tray. So instead of the 1, it's going to be the 20. That'll be for Felix. So you'll have to roll... Yeah, so you find yourself grappled by this Boggle. And then against the 9 for Grug, looks like that's definitely going to be the same. I end up getting a 15 top. That's... Yep. Okay, so you both are grappled by this sticky, oily skinned Boggle. And that's all they can really do for that. Just for a quick note, it looks like... Yeah, you can try to break free as normal and stuff if you so choose on your turn or all that. And then mini crosses, your turn. All right, so the Boggle, as you try to hit it with a radiant flame, it almost just seems to like separate its body in air. Like it kind of floats up a little and just like distorts itself to where it's not just like a little four-legged thing. It's kind of like just an oblong, as its skin has just become so oily. It's pretty malleable. And you realize also, I'll just give it to you, that he's very dexterous and is able to completely evade that. Okay. Anything else from you, Mini Crosses? And if not, we'll go ahead and go to you, Ryden.
Okay. If I tried to get my Wonder Fay to move out of the way, will they take an opportunity attack from the Boggle?
They would, but as you're thinking upon this, you really see your Wonder Fay just kind of like tremble. And go ahead and give me, investigation is kind of your thing, so you could do that.
Okay.
Or you could do insight, I suppose.
I'll go with insight then.
Okay.
I swear, my dice are cursed or something. I keep getting shitty rolls.
It might be enough
that
still.
doesn't help very much. That is just a 9 in total.
Okay, so as you kind of peer down, you realize that pure deduction isn't going to solve this necessarily. And as you think that, that cold heart of the investigator slightly melts a little bit as you look down at your little self, and you just see pure innocence being kind of squashed and trodden on, as they are feeling like a fear that is really beyond them and they don't need to feel that. And with that, you do get the sense that their fear is creating the Boggle. And what else would you like to do with the turn?
Is it possible to take the Wonder Fay up to a safe distance, like for example over here, where the Boggles possibly won't be able to reach?
You could try something like that, but it would still be taking him out of somebody else's reach. And but as you get that sense, little Ryden just kind of like tries to hug your leg, and he's almost like begging for a little bit of your comfort.
I'll comfort him, but my persuasion isn't very good, but I'll do it. Let's see.
Yeah, so it will be a persuasion check. That is correct, if you don't mind.
I got the same roll twice. Well, that is a 7.
Okay, so you reach down and comfort little Ryden, and it works enough to the point where his little form's starting to tremble less, and he looks up at you like, knowing that you'll protect him, but you still just see the inky black form kind of like looming behind him, almost mocking what you're trying to do. But you do realize that it's effective, like it could work, and that would be your action for that one. Anything else?
Yep. Nothing.
Okay, and so Lily, how do you want to handle this situation?
Is my little Fae technically engaged with the ugly thing?
It's an active participant enough that for whatever it matters.
Oh, it matters.
So yes.
Okay. I am, excuse me. I am going to cast Firebolt.
Okay, so is that another dex save?
It's a cantrip.
What do I have to do, a dex save, or do you roll to hit on that one?
It's rolled a hit.
It's rolled a hit.
Oh, okay, go for it.
$13.
So it looks worried almost, as the flame appears like right next to it, and you see its skin start to bubble a little as it quickly like sucks itself into like a smaller space in the area that it's in, and evades the damage. But you kind of feel like you're onto something there.
That sucks.
Oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm totally read that wrong, and I don't want to ill-advise you. Actually, a little bit of his toe kind of does get on it, and it doesn't do enough to do damage. But with that, he kind of looks at you and snickers as you realize that fire might not be the best option. I'll give you that one. Sorry, I didn't want to say the wrong thing at the start, and y'all be fireballing this mofo.
Alright, I guess, can I use my bonus action to try and comfort my fae?
So that will take your action to do that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try and comfort my fae then.
Oh, well, you just used it to firebolt, right?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Oh no, my bad. Yeah, it would take your action to comfort them, but it is a good idea. And if that's it, we'll go back to Grug. You got
I
two
will
on you
just
now.
do a stab. I assume 20. Oh, I'll be hitting this one, by the way. Sorry.
Oh yeah, wait, yeah. Did maybe we are missing somebody? 2, 3.
Yeah, I didn't do that turnout thing.
No, you didn't. What did you get for initiative? My bad. I was
4. Got a 4, so I'd be last in.
okay. My bad. Definitely did not mean to skip you, my friend.
So, alright. I did not mean to roll that, whatever that was. Alright, so I move. What's a bad tap?
Oh, the wisdom check.
Thanks enough for my sanctuary. Alright, so I'm going to move to here. And attack with my +1 lance. Now on the creature right here. My lance has a range of 10 feet, I think. Yeah, reach 10 feet.
Okay.
Got 18.
Nice.
18 to hit.
That will.
1d12. Just take the first one. I accidentally clicked it twice.
Oh, no worries.
Nah. Piercing damage and 12
19 damage.
vertical piercing damage. So yeah. +1 lance, pretty overpowered.
So I'm not sure if does the critical count.
I think I don't know. I traded for this item. Let me check. Reach special. The +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls. Yeah, I think only the first one counts.
So just 7 is what it is.
Yeah, I think that if it was a crit, that would be the damage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you kind of take a step back away from this creature and shove towards it with this fine lance you have recently bartered for, and you are glad to have done so as you strike the mark dead in its what seems to be its chest. But as you see, its figure starts to just kind of like ripple and try to pull away, but you feel your feet kind of lift up off as you're struggling to remain holding your gravity in place. As you just wrench this creature like up in the air for a moment, and you realize that 7 did about half its health in one blow, as it just kind of screams out at you and loses its concentration on your Wonder Fae for a moment, before it can kind of like pull itself off the end of your lance and kind of resume its former position. Anything else after that beautiful main action you had there?
Let's see. I'm sorry, I was trying to. now, I boosted my Wonder Fay to come to me and stand right there.
Okay, so it will retreat back away from you, and as it does so, this is the way that it's attacking it for the purpose of this. Oh my goodness, man! So I gotta watch out what I'm rolling on the fly, because as it moves away, the boggle kind of like, as it's suffering from the damage, it just feels such malice towards you that it really does just hone in on your Wonder Fay trying to escape, and some of like its inky black blood that's spewing out from its wound just starts to like leach out towards the Wonder Fay and surround it, and you feel that your Wonder Fay it takes a couple levels of exhaustion as it feels the effect from this boggle, and so I'm just gonna give it a couple little dots to mark, and yeah, so that would be it for you.
Yeah, it's my turn.
Okay. And so we will go to the bug, Grug.
May I just use 20? Is that fine, or should I roll?
You gotta wait till your turn, I guess, because I'm not sure on that.
Fine, even though the turn counter was my turn. You roll 21. 4.
Okay, I guess maybe the best way I should say it is actions should be stated before rolled, maybe. But I feel your pain on that. But honestly, looks like it didn't matter because you're a dagger master.
I'll do it that one.
Okay.
And I'm done.
All right, so you feel a little. Oh, got an echo from somebody. But you feel a little Grug kind of trembling next to you, as you know he's cheering you on, and you have these two just forms of fear on either side of you. I roll all at health individually and stuff, so some might seem a little bigger than others, is the way I like to describe it. And the one you just sliced into, it hurt him pretty well, but you could tell that he's got a little more to his mass than like say the one that Akon just slammed into.
Okay.
And if that's it from Grug, we'll go to Felix.
Yep.
So you said something about comforting the Wonder Fay. Would that be like giving them advice on how to like avoid getting a hit, or would that be just a non-action?
If you want to do it for the point of what needs to be done, I guess with that, it would take your action, but
okay.
But it can come in the form of however you want to describe it.
Yeah, if I would suggest to him that you sneak away and go hide, I'll roll for that.
Okay, so you whisper the suggestion to him, and go ahead and roll me a persuasion check.
I'm not great at this. I'd like to use my inspiration. Well, I didn't need to.
I was about to say, I don't know. Okay, yeah, perfect. I know there's a couple different ways of running inspiration, but the DM inspiration, the way I usually do it is just you can re-roll. I know some people do it. Yeah, some people do advantage, some people do re-rolls. But me personally, I'll do the re-roll. So, like you said, you didn't need it, so you still have it if you want to use it later. And with the 20, that's definitely good enough. As you reach down low and kind of whisper, you're like, "Hey, hide and seek, just like we used to, remember?" And he kind of like nods like very quickly. And with that, he uses his superior invisibility to just like blink out of existence for a moment. And as he does, you feel that strain coming from him, that fear. The line of that is just severed. And when you turn back towards the boggle who was created earlier, he kind of looks up at you, eyes big, and he seems very afraid. As he slowly just like his head remains the same size, but his body shrinks down smaller until there's just a tiny little head, and his eyes are like really big, and he lets out like the tiniest little squeaky voice. And as he just pops out of existence. And I'll just move him over there. All right. Anything else from you, Felix?
Nope, that's good.
And so now we go to the guys themselves. So Felix, I won't need one from from you this time, since your Wonder Fey is protected. But I mean, you do still have one that's kind of more independent that will attack you, I suppose. But at least for now, very quickly, if everyone else will make me a wisdom. I think. Let me double check. Yep, if you'll make me an insight check, it's a +2 basically. So it's not for you, but for the Wonder Fey. So whatever you roll, we'll just we'll make sure the modifier is +2. But I'll need that from everybody except for Felix.
Wisdom or what else? I'm sorry.
It would really just be a D20 +2. But for the sake of what you're doing, we're basically doing an intimidation versus an insight check as the boggles try to intimidate your Wonder Fey.
Okay, so 19 I guess.
And then I'll just roll once, which I rolled poorly again. So I might not even get Wonder Cross. I may not even get mini crosses with this because these guys are a little more comical than actually intimidating. So I rolled a 2 total. Earlier I had to actually add it up to be a 0 because I rolled a 2 and they have a -2. I'll just be forthright. And I got a 0. And now I just rolled a 4, so they got a 2. So everybody saves, looks like. Did I get one from everybody? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I was missing one from Bryden. No, you put 7, so you're good. All right. Yeah, so everybody's good. You feel the fear kind of emanating from your Wonder Fey, and also you heard the shout of triumph from Felix as he kind of banished the one that was tormenting his little self. All the other ones failed to do what they're trying to do. So basically, you are grappled by this boggle. Both of y'all were, honestly, for Grug and for this other guy, but y'all didn't really try to move or anything like that, so it's cool. So anyways, though, they're gonna try to come at you. All right, so as the oil kind of like starts to coalesce over your armor or whatever you might be kind of shielding yourself with there, Felix, you feel it start to like bludgeon up against you with the force, and it's going to be a 16 to hit you.
Okay, does it?
And then looks like that'll be 5 damage to you. Just 5 bludgeoning as you feel the compression of the oily substance around you. And then for Grug, let's see. Didn't roll nearly as high on this one. It's actually just a 9. 9 to hit you, Grug.
No, I'm 14.
Okay, so you feel that same kind of sticky presence kind of forcing you down, but you're able to just kind of remain stout and not take any damage or anything. And with that, we'll go to mini crosses.
Seriously? She always eats the cheese sticks.
So, mini crosses, what would you say to your Wonder Fey as you succeed?
Stop.
I asked her if she was hungry. She told me that she ate some of the nastiest noodles she's ever had. And I said, okay, well, and I asked her flat, I said, well, are you still hungry? No, if not, that's fine. And she said, yeah, she was still hungry. So I took her to McDonald's and got her a Happy Meal.
What the heck? I wonder if they went and got him a Happy Meal.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
Anyways, mini crosses. What would you say to your? Oh, it's okay. It happens. I have kids, so they'll be screaming. But mini crosses. What would you say to persuade your Wonder Fey? It looks like that's going to be a success as well. Okay, well, if he wants to let us know, he surely can. But his Wonder Fae is going to be protected. As the boggle kind of just sucks in on itself and comically kind of disappears, failing to threaten the Wonder Fae. And so, Raiden, what would you like to do?
I'm just going to try and comfort the Wonder Fae again.
Okay. So
And I got a 13 in persuasion.
Yep. So that is good enough. How would you like to persuade him? I guess. How would you like to convince him that he's going to be okay?
I will take some of that extra serving of cereal that I stashed up, and I'm just gonna feed my little kitty a spoonful of that.
And so he kind of like laps it up with his little sandpaper-like tongue, and he seems pretty happy to do so. And in this moment, you realize that you both kind of were focused in, and you can barely even register as the inky form that was shadowing over him, kind of just and kind of pops out of existence as you succeed. Okay, and so that would be it for you, Raiden?
Yes.
And so we'll go to Lily.
Okay, well, I am going to try and comfort my Wonder Fae.
Okay.
Thank you, baby Jesus.
Nice. How would you like to do so? And she's awfully afraid, and being told that, she's not worth being who she truly is, and will just be a failure and things like that from this shadow. And how would you tell her that that's not the case?
I walk up and I take a knee and I pull out a dagger and hand it to her. Tell her that this was the dagger that my mentor gave me when he found me scared and alone.
So she takes it and like clutches it to her chest and thank you.
I tell her that this world is full of evil, but there are good people as I look around at my comrades, and this is the reason why we fight.
With that, you see a fierce determination in her eyes as she kind of like holds the dagger up and then in one hand ready to strike, and turns around to face her fears, to realize that she already had, and the inky blackness behind her is nowhere to be found.
Excellent.
So that's awesome, guys. You guys are definitely hitting the mark on the rolls. And so we will go to Akon.
Alright, my time to shine. Alright. So I'm going to try to persuade my Wonder Fae that it's not that scary, that she can be whatever the Wonder Fae wants to be.
Okay. And so you'll roll me a persuasion check.
Damn, alright.
Nice, even with the -1. So, little Akon, you realize that the last blast of fear did really take its toll on him, and there's only, so many levels of exhaustion he could take. But fortunately, he kind of like looks up at you all determined, and he's like, I wasn't scared. And he's trying to, you can see that he's really doing his best to be brave. And then he kind of like starts to puff out his chest, and and he lets out the fiercest but cutest little battle roar you think you've ever heard. As you realize that the boggle was starting to close in on him, as you were saying that to him, and you see out of the corner of your eye that it just stops and starts to tremble and slowly shrink down into nothing, as his battle roar turned out to actually intimidate it. And so with that, you definitely succeeded.
Is that my action for that turn?
Yeah, that will be, but a good one it was.
All right. Then yeah.
Okay, and so Grub.
Okay, I will just do a stabby stab with the dagger.
This is gonna be on
22.
the same guy in the bottom.
Yeah. And then I will be done.
Okay, and so you kind of hold a hand out towards little Grug to keep him at bay and not get in the way as you lunge forward with another dagger, and you realize that these puncture holes are starting to add up on this little being, and this black ichor is just flooding out of it. And with that, we will go to Mr. Felix. You have one on your back that's not really attached to the Wonder Fey.
Okay, and is it still grappling me, or is that the other one that was grappling?
It is. Yeah, this one was the one that grappled you originally.
Okay. So I turn with a sword. And this is with disadvantage. But it doesn't matter. I am apparently not used to being grappled, so I missed.
And so your Wonder Fey, he kind of like pops into existence for a second, and we'll just say for the sake of it, he's kind of like on the other side of you, and he looks afraid as you're fending off this thing, but you almost feel the slightest little touch on your, like the side of your leg, like a kid will do, as he's like, "You don't be afraid, you can do it." And now he's trying to help you.
Okay, cool.
And so I think I might have shouted one, but it is actually the Boggle's turn. Boggle! And so we have one that is still trying to intimidate. So if you don't mind for me, Grug, if you could make me just a D20 plus 2. And I may succeed on this one. We'll see. No. And so that'd be plus 2 too. So 15, yeah. So I got 13. So your Wonder Fey is kind of like shouted at against, but he just like looks up to you, and you don't really look at him, but he just sees you like locked into battle, determined to save him over this Boggle, and he in turn feels that like he needs to be brave too, and so he kind of holds his resolve. And the other one will just try to he's already got you grappled, so he'll try to donk you. This one was better. It's a 20, dirty 20.
Okay.
And he does 1 bludgeoning damage to you.
Oh, okay.
As you feel just the compression of this like tar-like substance starting to take its toll after it's kind of hanging on you. It's just a weight that you're not really used to. And with that, oh wait, the other one still has to try, right? So let me see real quick towards you over there, Felix. And yeah, this grappling is a son of a gun, because that's going to make it a 17 to hit.
I'll hit.
And looks like 4 bludgeoning to you, as again, you just, this weight, especially on your older frame, it's almost too much. Your back is already a little hunched, and now it's just being dragged forward by this weight. And with that, we'll go to midi crosses. Mini crosses. Okay, well, for sake of time, I guess we'll keep going, and then if he wants to let us know what he did or is going to do, he can. Okay, here he comes. Oh, no worries, man. As long as you want to just let us know. I guess just keep an eye out for when you're coming up. And so the one that you were kind of faced is dispatched. So you want to move over and help Grug. Do you want to go for the one he's been attacking, or the other one that is grappling him? I guess.
Focus fire. Focus fire. bottom one, if you don't mind.
Okay, bottom one it is. Since you want to go ahead and roll to hit him? Damn.
Do you not have a dex weapon, or?
So you kind of raise your mace up very mightily, and you smash it down on this form. But you realize with the amount of effort that you were able to give, and kind of the fluidity of its body, that it just kind of molds over the end of your mace for a moment, and then kind of forms back into place. And with no further ado, you can bonus action or anything like that if you want. Okay, we'll go to Raiden. So just the same as him, you've kind of got the monkey off your back in a sense, but you do still have two, count them, 3 that are still threatening you guys.
How healthy is this boggle right now?
I can't remember what I wrote down for his original health, but he looks like if he's taken a hit, it's just been a scratch, and he may not have been hit at all. Hard to tell.
I am going to use, what was it called? The thing that backs these caps where I could double my speed for one turn.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and do that. I'll just go ahead and go down to Felix, and I shall cast Cure Wounds.
Okay. I'm sure he will be much appreciative of that. You imagine his old bones to be covered in soft flesh, but as you reach down to give him a healing hand, you realize he's actually got quite a bit of muscle for an old guy.
That is... that is 12 total.
Nice. There you go, Felix.
And that is the end of my turn.
Okay. Nice. I think are y'all both Rangers too? That's kind of like a brotherhood almost. Something about Rangers, you know.
We have 3 Rangers. Oh, jeez.
That's awesome. Like 3 Rangers passing.
What are the odds?
That is kind of funny. And Ranger, Rogue, Barbarian, and then Akon. What are you? What are you again? You're a Barbarian too. Or no, you are the Barbarian. My bad. I'm sorry.
I am the Barbarian.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we got a Ranger, Cleric, I think, right? Manny Crosses, Cleric, or are you Paladin too? But all right, anyways, my bad. So good turn, Raiden. Sometimes you gotta heal. And then Lily, what's up? You realize that your Wonder Fae is ready to pass on to its next stage of life, and yet some of your friends may need a little assistance.
I'm going to move up here, and I am going to. I'm dual wielding. I have my dagger and my short sword out.
Okay, nice.
I am going to cast Booming Blade on my short sword.
All right, Booming Blade, gotcha.
And I'm going to swipe at him with the short sword.
Okay. So you can barely recognize Felix as he's being slimed by this guy, but you know where to strike, and let's see it. Yep, that'll definitely hit. And then
30. It's a 30-20.
You got another one coming, I believe. Or yeah, you may see the damage first if you want.
Yeah, and then
Jesus.
gotta love that sneak attack.
No kidding. So you come up with your short sword, and kind of like your friend over there locked in battle, Grugs. He's like screaming in languages that you probably don't recognize, anything but common, as he's fending these guys off. And like him, you bury your blade to the hilt. Your blade just happens to be a little bit longer. And as it descends, you feel like this slight nudge as it almost like go so deep even to hit Felix, but you're such an expert, you're able to like make sure it definitely doesn't. And as you rip your blade back free, the Boggle just kind of screams out in pain and like starts to sputter, and you can tell that it's on death's door. Woo.
And then I'm going to use my bonus action to strike with my dagger, silver dagger. Actually,
Okay.
Not that it matters.
Looks cool.
All right. Yeah.
All right,
16
so
hit.
I wouldn't worry about rolling damage, and instead of that, just roll me a regular D4, please,
Just a D4.
if you don't mind. Okay, so the Boggle, you kind of go back for, instead of maybe a plunge, this one's more just like you could even do it where it's like throat would be as like a final just little like you're done, and it's sure efficient. And as it kind of just droops and falls down to the map at your feet, and starts to kind of stain it with like a little bit of ink looking, it kind of fizzles out into nothing, and that's it for that fellow. Let's get him out of here. All right, anything else, Lily?
Let's see. I already used my bonus action, and I didn't move that much. Moved what, 10?
Yeah, you only used 10, and you used
20,
action, bonus action.
30. So I can finish my movement there. That's 30.
Okay, cool. So Grug feels a lot less alone as he sees both Mini Crosses and Lily.
But I'm not supposed to be fighting up close with my debts.
Akon, it is up to you. Kind of over by yourself, but I'm sure you can figure out what to throw or something, maybe. Up to you. What you got? And so you run forward as fast as you can, almost in a huff of breathlessness as you arrive at Grug in his locked in battle. As you move towards him, it just feels so foreign as you realize that you're not being kept to the ground at all. Like, this is a very gravity-free environment. And so you're almost like swimming towards him as you're just kind of like struggling to work your way in a foreign environment. It doesn't, take much more than extra thought, but just keep that in mind as you swim over to him, more or less. And yeah, unfortunately, he's kind of dodging a blow from Grug already, and it puts him just out of range of where you were about to strike. And it just happened to be like a bad coincidence, and you happen to miss on that one. And oh, my bad. I totally misplaced you. So he probably wasn't dodging, but maybe Grug moved out of the way while this guy was grappled onto him, and it happened to move him out of the way. My bad. For some reason, I thought you were Mini Crosses. But with that, we'll go to Grug if you don't have anything else, Akon.
I will do a dagger.
Okay, I'm assuming on the same fellow down below.
Yeah. And that is not it. I probably should have outfitted out a rapier as a choice. Or there's always dead dagger longbow. And yeah. Okay, I am done.
As you find yourself kind of lapsing in combat now, where at the start you were just like direct stabbing this foo, you find your resolve shaking a little, and you notice that it's kind of being reflected in your Wonder Fate too, as he kind of like hugs closer to your leg, as despite the inky blackness latched onto you, you have his little fuzzy self latched onto you too, and he's kind of will reflect you, and what you do. and so we'll go to Felix.
Okay, so I'm gonna dash back over to pick up where I dropped my bow,
Okay.
and I will try and put an arrow in it, something for once. Does a 12 hit?
And it will be just shy in the end.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of just like this black booger lodged onto to Grug's head. You're so nervous about not accidentally hitting him, and it just kind of lodges a little short.
Okay, that's it for me.
Excuse my son there. All right, so we have one dude. He's going to try to intimidate. So if you could give me that insight, just a D20 plus 2, if you don't mind, Grug.
Okay. 19.
Okay, so as he's kind of like latched onto your leg, one of the boggles kind of screams at him again, and he's like, "You'll end up just like him," but you feel like it really doesn't have any effect. He's not really any more scared than he was before. He's just kind of latched on and ready, down for the ride, as it were, and that just kind of leaves the other one to lunge at you. So let me see about that. These guys are out for you, man. It's a dirty 20 again. This is not an actual 20.
Okay.
And that actually will do no damage because he has a negative modifier. And so you feel like it really is just the weight pulling at you. It's starting to get a little exhausting, but other than that, you do not take any damage. So, mini crosses. Okay, so go ahead and roll me a D4 mini crosses. Just a straight D4 if you don't mind, please, sir. Okay, so everything's turning up fortunate for that, I guess. As you kind of take a different approach this time and focus on I think you said it was Lathander, perhaps, and you just want to end this and bring some peace to these little beings and kind of get back on your own path. And as the spell strikes out at the boggle, he's just like totally eliminated. Like every scrap of him just kind of is lost in like a holy light. And when it kind of shines down enough, you don't see any remains at all. So good job there. And I'm assuming that'll be it for mini crosses. You could move if you wanted to, or any bonus or anything, I guess. Otherwise, we'll go to Ryden. Okay, he's holding down the fort, ready to tap Grug on the shoulder to help him if he needs. And what's Ryden gonna do? I'm
going to move down like that, and then I'm going to attack with longbow. That is a 13 to hit.
So as we're kind of getting closer to the end of this, I'll just tell y'all so I don't seem like a jerk, but their AC is 14.
Okay. Well, that's the end of my turn.
I don't want to just keep saying no over every time without so I'll just be a forthright. Yeah, he's a 14. So, and this guy's just happened to be so globbed into Grug's fur at this point. He's been on him for a minute. This little like inky, oily substance of a body is starting to just dip into every little crack and crevice that Grug has. Ooh. And with that, how are you gonna help him, Lily? Wow. Bringing the heat. Let's see that damage. So you might say something to Greg like, hold on, stay still. I just did this a second ago. And he kind of like, finally, you hear him say something, and definitely not common, but he kind of gets the gist of what you mean, and he holds still for just long enough for you to downward strike, or however you want to, describe it at the 7. With the 7? What?
That means you have 4 of your other 2 rolls combined and 3 6s.
So it's just 7? That's it? Okay. So, because I was thinking sneak attack still too, right? Okay, so 5 more. Man, I thought you were about to lay waste to this fool, but you still did hurt him like very, very badly. And you're kind of the first one to finally get a good shot off on him, as he's been kind of stuck to Grug. And Grug, you almost feel like a little dink on the top of your head, almost like just someone tapped on your head, but really it was like this ferocious blow, like slamming down with like utmost force. And if you don't have anything else, Lily, we'll go to Akon. Bonus action.
All right.
Or something.
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. She's gonna. 1 second, Akon. I'm sorry. My bad.
Yeah. Is my turn or?
Just 1 second. It looks like she's gonna try to hit him with the dagger as well, and so 15 is that? Yep. So 15 more on top of that too, and actually, I'm sorry, Akon, but here, since she killed it and you were about to go, I'll give you the honors of rolling the D4 if you want, Akon.
No, it's all cool. What does D4 do again?
Well, roll it and we'll find out.
D4. How do I do it again?
Was it /roll?
Yeah, /roll.
1d4, I think.
Alright, roll 1d4. No. /roll d4. Let's pick one of them. There were 3, so.
Okay. Alrighty. So you kind of charge in, ready to give the finishing blow if need be, but as Grug kind of almost reaches up to like scratch his head, he's feeling like this little tingle. Lily kind of just like gets in very close, almost like putting one little arm around Grug to still him, I guess, make him still. Sorry if that sounded weird. And like drive that dagger just straight home, and Grug, you suddenly feel the weight lifted from you as the thing just kind of dissipates. And as we're exiting combat, I'll just tell you, if you rolled a 1 or a 2 on a D4, a red cap would show up. But none of y'all ever did. I even rolled a few D4s just for laughs myself to see if I might just throw one at you, but we're already kind of a little bit at time. And no, I rolled like 3s and 4s too, and y'all all rolled 3s and 4s, so literally it just didn't happen. So hey, that's the way D&D works sometimes, but just thought for a little fun insight I'd share that with y'all. But yeah, so as I said, the combat ends as you guys realize that the fears of your Wonder Fae have been pretty much dissuaded. They're pretty much all happy, little innocent, healthy children, as they're supposed to be. And just from a personal thing, I had an older friend. I'm a father. I have 2 kids, and I have a friend of mine who has a little boy as well. And one time he shared with me just a sentiment that I try to think about sometimes too, that I think is pretty well reflected in this adventure. And it was just that as parents and just adults in general, I suppose it's our job, and our duty to try to maintain the innocence of children for as long as we possibly can. And I hope you guys can kind of share that with me today as we have helped our young little selves. And as far as that goes, a portal appears around the map that you're all standing on, and one by one, each of your Wonder Fae kind of line up, but they turn towards you. And as they do, They start to sway gently back and forth, and they're humming a melodic tune. And then, it's almost blinding as above you, it's quite disorienting as the bag of holding itself that you're in opens up, and you thought she was large before, but now you see the humongous but still very beautiful elderly face of Abuelita Evelise. And she seems very pleased with you as she looks down and she says, "Take an item." Oh, wait, it actually sounds much lower. "Take an item and gift it to your Wonderfay along with words of encouragement or wisdom. Perhaps there is something you want to tell them so that you might be true to yourself. This is your second chance to live the life you want." She smiles one last time as the Wonderfay wait patiently. And I guess we did the reverse order, so we'll go back to the regular order with Raiden. As you can see, there are several items like in the map of the bag of holding. If you want to zoom out a little, you can see all kinds of items and things like that. Or if you really kind of have like a different thing in mind that kind of is a little more smack my cat on accident, is a little more suiting for your character in particular, like I have kind of like a random list of some examples, but like I'll say a couple and then you guys can kind of take it into your own hands. And like, so for one, I mentioned the sword earlier, and like a sword is like you always wanted to be, like a martial adventurer, like someone who is very, melee focused and things like that. And there, it kind of goes on beyond, like, it could be like the lantern is, you don't want to be fearing anything in the dark or such as that. So if you don't mind, each person, as we're kind of leading up to you, and like I said, this map's pretty big. You can zoom out a little bit and look at some of the items here, or again, you can just come up with your own. And we'll start with Raiden. If you just want to, share with us what you would give and tell to your Wonderfay to send him on his last little journey here.
Well, looking around the bag of holding, I realized that Abuelita has seemingly left an apple in here. And I pick it up from the ground and I put it in little Raiden's paw. I tell him, "Well, look here, kiddo. Don't ever forget to enjoy the pleasures of life, okay? I mean, it's quite easy to forget about it sometimes, but it's always best to enjoy yourself, no matter what happens."
And so little Raiden like nods his fuzzy little head furiously as he takes the apple, and he's like, it seems pretty fresh, and he kind of motions like, should he eat it?
Go ahead, kitty.
And so
It should be fun.
He takes like a nice big crisp crunchy bite of it, and he seems very refreshed as he steps into the portal, and you yourself feel just very reassured. And so, how about you, Mini Crosses? What do you have for us? What item would you give, and what would you tell little Mini Crosses? Okay, le matter. And so as you press the book into his hand, he kind of holds it, and he also, the other hand, grasps the little pendant coming from the chain on his neck, and you kind of say a silent prayer with him very quickly, as then you might share a quick hug too as he jumps into the portal. You step back feeling not only a little bit of self-enrichment, but also just a little more pleased in your work towards your god, or for your god, as it were. And with that, how about you, Felix?
So I'm going to get something like a toy or something like that and give it to him and tell him that, don't be in a rush to grow up. It goes fast enough. Take time and enjoy it, and have him go through then.
And so he like grabs the toy and he hugs it close, and he's, "Wow, for me, I'll never forget this. And I promise I won't hide when I'm not supposed to." And then you can see he just is such an energetic, rambunctious lad. And as he kind of disappears into the portal with the rush, you yourself feel like you're taken back, 60 of your 90 years, or however much it were. A spry young man, just blossoming into adulthood, and you feel perhaps you even have a kid or two of your own, other than the ones you've raised. You're like, man, I remember those days. And how about you, Lily? What would you give and say?
I want to reach and I want to grab the sword and place it in my face, hands, and tell him that violence is not always the answer, but it can solve a lot of problems.
And so this tiny little girl, so small, and she just seems so... She is innocent, and she seems just so unable to hurt a fly. But despite that, she grabs onto it with the fiercest of grips. And on the other hand, she has the dagger that you gave her earlier. And she almost looks like a tiny little mirror of your own. And that soft little cute expression is suddenly replaced with a fierce one. And she's like, I will always protect myself. Thank you. And she kind of points the blades out and like rushes in for a quick little embrace. And then fast as lightning, she zips through the portal. And how about you, Akon?
Well, I told my Wonder Fae to like take out a crate of beers with a knife on top. And tell him, remember, you just take this. Remember, you can win any drinking competition anyone challenges you to, because you are going to be Goliath. And this knife is a problem solver. Use it as you wish. I give it to him. I give it to him.
He takes it, and you see him kind of like use it to like clean out his fingernails for a second even, and he's like, and then he looks back at you and he's like, gives a little battle roar. He's like, yeah! And he scoops it up, and you see him kind of like tossing the dagger up in the air, like loop, 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 and coming back down and catching it and doing like kind of dangerous things as he heads for the portal, like some things he maybe dared to do or whatever. No worries though. I'm sure he'll be safe as he runs into the portal. All kids get a little hurt. And then in Grug, last but certainly not least, out of these items, or maybe one of your own choosing, what would you give and how would you encourage him on to begin his childhood?
Not Lane. Did you say drug? My apologies.
Oh yes, Grug. Sorry if I...
My apologies. I would tell him in Goblin. Actually, I'll do an orc. I would tell him an orc that although you may have tough times ahead, you will one day be free, and that's what matters.
And what was the item? I'm sorry, did I miss that?
Oh yeah, right. I would give him. I'd give him my dagger.
Okay. And so he takes the dagger, and he doesn't quite understand what you mean, of course, no one knows the trials that lay ahead, but he kind of takes a determined look on his face as he doesn't want to let you down, He saw how fierce you were in that battle earlier, and he kind of looks at you, he's like, and an orc back at you, he's like, I want to be just like you! And he kind of prepares himself and disappears into the portal. And with that, Abuelita Velise kind of reaches in and motions for you guys to come out, and it's a very disorienting feeling as she like half physically tugs you and half magically pulls you from the bag of holding, and you kind of face her again in her cozy little turns out cottage instead of cave perhaps, but as you kind of sit there with her, she seems very pleased, and she says, well, I suppose this is the end of your time here in Wonderia, and I hope not only did you help us, but I hope you found something to take back with you. And with that, I gotta roll some dice for gold real quick. Should only take a quick second. But other than that, she will There it is. She kind of takes the bag off of her wrist and she says, I bet you guys like this, don't you? It is quite useful, but hold on one second. And she reaches in and you kind of see her pull a lot of those items out that you were looking at earlier. And mostly empty, she kind of hands the bag off to one of you and she says, well, you know, perhaps you could get some more use out of this, and I've got plenty of them I can pull out. Why don't you keep it? And so this is actually the magic item for the game, and it's going to be in that long list of magic items I have over there. It's actually only the second one, though, because it is a bag of holding. And so everyone will get that. And I'm popping that up for you right now.
Question.
Yes, sir?
I thought this was supposed to be 3 hours. I'm just surprised. Was it a miss?
No, it was I always schedule for a 1 hour overflow.
Okay. My
Yeah,
apologies.
technically, I mean, some of them will kind of break the usual, but almost always it'll either be 2 or 4 hours. So if you'll see them scheduled on our server for a 5 hour, then it's a 4 hour game, but it's planned with that hour overflow. And then for this one it's a 2 hour, but we had 30 minutes overflow. So I'd say generally I try to keep it closer to the 2 or 4 hour mark. And,
Just in case. No worries. Okay.
Yeah. And the other DMs should be trying to do that too, because the way you got to think about Adventurers League is if you went to like a gaming convention or something, and they would be like super strict on time. So if you were going to run an AL game at like a convention and you even went 30 minutes over your time like I did tonight, they would be kind of mad at you. Yeah, so it's something to keep in mind. Obviously online, and as long as I schedule that hour of overflow, I don't really feel bad about using it.
Okay, no worries.
But I try to do that so we're not like abusing anybody's time too much. But yeah, so I was streaming too, of course. So I guess I'll go ahead and end that now, and that should give us a good 2.5, which if you're not streaming, that'll round you up to 3 hours.